Night in the jungle rarely offered silence. But tonight, even the insects seemed unsure about making noise. The panther lay stretched along a thick fallen log, muscles relaxed but ready beneath her velvet black coat. Her tail curled lazily over the edge, the tip flicking every few seconds like a thought she could not shake. Moist air clung to her fur. The scent of wet soil and green life filled every breath. Before her, the fireflies dimmed. Their glow, once scattered like drifting stars caught in leaves, was fading one by one. A soft green pulse, then nothing. Another flicker, and darkness swallowed it whole. The panther's golden eyes tracked each small light until it disappeared. She didn't blink. Predators rarely wasted a moment without sight. A final few lights stubbornly danced above a cluster of ferns, hovering like sparks from a dying fire. The panther watched them scorch their last embers into the humid night. The jungle seemed to mourn their flickering. Broad leaves drooped lower, air hung heavier. Tree trunks and vines fell into deeper shades of black. It was as if the world's colors were slipping away, stolen by the dark once the fireflies were gone. The panther sniffed the air without lifting her head. She smelled damp wood. She smelled the musk of monkeys sleeping high in the canopy. She smelled the distant sweetness of fallen fruit beginning to rot. But most of all, she smelled caution. Silence was a warning she respected. Her ears twitched to the left. A lizard shifted lightly on bark, then froze the second her gaze found it. Nothing here wanted to be noticed. Not tonight. Another firefly blinked near her whiskers. Weakly, a final attempt to glow, and then dimmed into black. The panther exhaled slowly through her nose. Her breath rose as a faint cloud in the stillness, dissolving just inches away. This darkness was unnatural. Jungle nights were meant to pulse with life. Buzzing, croaking, rustling, hunting. But as the glowing insects extinguished themselves, a kind of waiting took their place. The panther slipped silently from the log and lowered her body to the forest floor, shoulders rolling like a wave beneath her fur. Her paws touched the ground without a sound, each step deliberate. If the fireflies were giving up their light, then something else had taken it. Her eyes gleamed as she entered deeper shadow. Because if the night dared to hide its secrets, she would find out what made even the smallest lights afraid to shine. The panther's paws sank softly into damp soil, leaving no trace behind. Her entire body moved like thought, quick when needed, slow when deserved. Tonight demanded slow. The air around her thickened with the scent of fear. Not her fear. The fear of those who normally didn't have time to think about danger. The small ones. The ones whose survival depended on constant motion. Yet nothing moved. She paused in a clearing where moonlight barely filtered through the dense canopy. Scattered silver fragments catching pools of water on broad leaves. Steam rose from the ground in thin ribbons, twisting upward as if trying and failing to escape the still air. Her whiskers brushed the dark around her. They tasted vibrations, tiny shifts most animals would never notice. There, a heart beating too fast beneath a fallen palm frond, a frog curled tight beneath its shelter, limbs rigid, eyes wide though they could barely see her. It sensed her, yet did not flee. Wrong. A rustle, faint and frantic, from inside a hollow log. A rat, trembling. Its tiny claws scratched once, then froze the moment her ears rotated in its direction. Wrong again. A beetle creeping along a vine, slow, hesitant, as if afraid its own legs might betray it. Everything tonight was holding back movement. Everything was scared of something the panther could not yet see. She inhaled deeply. Her nostrils flared wide, drinking in a cocktail of scents buried in the thick humidity. Fresh mud recently disturbed. Leaves bruised by something passing through. A trail of fur gone stale. Predator, but not her. Something had moved here earlier. Something that made even the trees afraid to sway. The panther lowered her head, ears flattening for silence. Her tail stilled, muscles tensed, not to pounce, but to listen. Far away and too far for a normal night, a monkey uttered a single nervous chirp. Just one. Then silence again as if regret swallowed the sound immediately. Moonlight dimmed for a heartbeat as clouds thickened. The jungle inhaled, but didn't exhale. The panther's claws unsheathed, just a fraction. She didn't like mysteries in the dark. If the hidden prey refused to move, if even insects feared to speak, then the jungle wasn't asking her to hunt tonight. It was asking her to find the predator. The panther continued forward, each step as smooth and silent as a shadow sliding across wet stone. Her muscles moved beneath her coat like liquid strength. No hesitation, only control. She stopped beneath a towering kapok tree, its enormous roots twisting through the ground like ancient serpents. The trunk soared into darkness, branches woven so tight that moonlight barely reached the forest floor. Perfect cover for hunters, and for fear. Her eyes glowed a sharp molten gold, tuned for night, tuned for secrets. She let them sweep the darkness. Every leaf, every hollow, every branch became a potential threat. She saw nothing move, but she felt the jungle watching. Usually, night allowed creatures to rest, not because danger vanished, but because danger became predictable. Owls hunted, jaguars stalked, snakes waited. Predictable. Tonight was different. Every heartbeat in the jungle was awake, forced awake, waiting, listening. The panther crouched low, belly brushing the cool ground. Her pupils expanded to devour all available light, turning her gaze into black mirrors reflecting the world. The fireflies were gone, the insects muted, the prey paralyzed. And predators? Predators do not sleep while prey stays awake. A bat glided overhead, fast, silent. It should have moved on, should have chased insects, swooped and chattered, but it turned once on a nervous circle, then fled deeper into the canopy. The panther's whiskers twitched. Her breath shortened, not from fear but readiness. Shadows thickened at the edge of her sight. She turned her head, fast, precise. Nothing. She blinked slow. Then again. The darkness blinked with her. Her tail curled tighter. Something in the jungle was wrong enough to keep every set of eyes open, including hers. She moved again, carefully placing each paw where silence would swallow it. Every sense sharpened, listening for the reason the jungle refused to sleep. Whatever lurked here made even the night hold its breath. And the panther was determined to be the first to catch it breathing. The panther moved beneath the canopy, whiskers trembling as they brushed against the cool, damp leaves. Tall buttress roots created walls around her path, guiding her deeper into the jungle's heart. Even the trees seemed to lean inward, not to shelter, but to watch. Thick vines hung motionless, like ropes carved from shadow. Ferns drooped low, heavy with moisture, yet not a single droplet fell. The forest had forgotten how to move. The panther paused near a narrow corridor of trees, their trunks arranged like silent pillars marking a path. She lowered her head, nose close to the ground. Something had passed through here recently. A scent, musky, warm, not prey, not familiar predator. Old, wild, wrong. Her ears swiveled sharply. Behind her, a branch creaked. Only once, as though pressured by more than wind. She turned, body low, gaze slicing the darkness. The branch remained still. She inhaled again, slow, searching. The scent lingered in the air, then dissolved, swallowed by humidity before she could define it. She growled quietly, not in warning, but frustration. The jungle was hiding something. Something that had walked here and made everything else too afraid to move. The panther lifted one paw and placed it in the hollow left by another creature. The soil, soft and fresh, retained the print perfectly. Round, large, too large to belong to any prey, too large to belong to her. Her claws extended instinctively. She stepped into the marked path. Immediately, the trees changed. Branches stretched slightly forward, bending at unnatural angles. The vines overhead tightened, forming a narrow tunnel, as if the forest itself had sculpted a route for her. Not guiding, directing. The panther's muscles bunched beneath her coat, preparing for conflict or flight, whichever the jungle commanded next. Her tail flicked once, a warning to the night. Two glowing eyes flickered in the canopy, bright yellow spots like lanterns. The panther stilled, perfectly. Only her heartbeat continued. The eyes blinked, sideways, Not a predator's eyes. Not a mammal. Not friendly. The creature slipped away, rustling leaves with the softest sigh of fear. The forest held its breath again. Something bigger than hunger kept all creatures awake tonight. The trees waited, not for her pause, but for the next step in a hunt she wasn't sure she had started. The path narrowed, funneled between thick roots and tangled vines, the jungle insisting she go forward, refusing retreat. The panther's paws glided over damp soil, and each step made the air behind her seal shut, as if the darkness wanted to keep every print a secret. Then, a flicker. A tiny, weak glow blinked near her foreleg. A firefly. Its light sputtered like a dying ember, barely strong enough to cut through the shadow around it. It drifted upward in a slow, shaky pattern, defying the stillness that gripped the jungle. The panther watched it rise, those golden eyes unblinking. Another flicker, higher, further down the path, then a third, then a fourth. Not dancing, not playful, signaling. The panther stepped closer, head low, breath controlled. She felt more than saw the tension in the insect's glow, each pulse like a heartbeat struggling to continue. The jungle reacted. A low breeze, the first of the night, brushed her whiskers, as if trying to pull her attention forward. The leaves rustled, just barely, and stopped again with a shiver. All around her, the fireflies gathered in the shapes of warnings. A line of lights hovering low to the ground. A cluster forming an arrow toward deeper dark. A single light blinking urgently near her path. This light floated dangerously close to her muzzle, drifting, pleading. The panther leaned in, nostrils flaring. The firefly flashed one last time, a desperate spark. Then went dark. Its small body dropped onto the soil without a sound. The panther's ears pinned back. Her pupils expanded, swallowing the little light left in the jungle. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was closing, collapsing around her like jaws. Something was hunting the night. Something the fireflies had seen first. She stepped further into the tunnel of trees, muscles rigid beneath her sleek coat. Her tail flicked like a metronome, counting the seconds before danger erupted. Behind her, the fireflies stayed dark. Ahead of her, no new lights appeared. She was now the only glow in the jungle, her eyes burning like twin suns, meant to expose what dared make the darkness afraid. The panther pressed deeper into the jungle's throat, every muscle coiled tight beneath her midnight fur. She moved as she was born to, silent, invisible, inevitable. Yet tonight, she wasn't stalking prey. She was stalking a question. Leaves brushed her spine as she slipped between the trees. Their touch was hesitant, as if even vegetation feared to commit to contact. The jungle's heartbeat thudded in her ears, too loud, too slow, like a pulse dragged through molasses. She halted. A low growl vibrated in her chest, instinct demanding she name the danger. But the air offered no scent strong enough to claim the title. Only that same stale musk, old predator, unfamiliar, uninvited, clung to the windless air. Her whiskers detected a shift. Not movement. Absence. A clearing opened before her. A wide circle carved into the jungle by something more deliberate than nature. The grass lay pressed flat in a spiral, crushed by weight and heat and repeated passage. The soil at its center was scorched black, as if a fire had burned without flame. The panther crouched low, belly to earth. Her breath slowed. Her tail froze. A predator had stood here. Recently. The night should have erupted with alarm. Shrieking monkeys, barking deer, frantic wings slashing the air. But instead, nothing. The clearing was a wound in the jungle that hadn't yet stopped bleeding silence. The panther eased forward, paw by paw, tracing the spiral in the grass. Her nose lowered to scan the ground, but the scent hit her before she reached the center. A fresh kill. Her throat tightened around a snarl she didn't release. She approached the carcass carefully. A boar lay collapsed, its body intact, but its life stolen too cleanly. No blood, no struggle, no signs of teeth or claws, just one deep puncture at the throat, delivered with precision. Not a kill for hunger, not a kill for survival, a kill for silence. The panther's hackles bristled. She bared her teeth, not at the boar, at the presence that lingered over it like a shadow with weight. Something had claimed this place, and the jungle had obeyed. She lifted her head sharply, ears locking onto the darkness ahead. Her pupils narrowed into knives. She had come as a hunter, but tonight, she was not here to eat. She was here to confront the thing that hunted the night itself. The panther stood in the dead clearing, muscles locked, breath sharp, eyes knifing through the darkness ahead. Something was there, watching, waiting. The jungle around them didn't breathe. It endured, a shift in the shadows, too smooth and too slow to be prey. The panther's claws cut into the soil, anchoring her stance. She held perfectly still, except for her tail, which twitched like a fuse burning down. The darkness thickened, but then began to fade. Not because the predator moved, because light was coming. A faint silver edge pressed against the treetops. Dawn. It crept upward, hesitant yet unstoppable, painting a thin line of pale blue across the night's black skin. The jungle waited, and the hidden presence did nothing. Not a step, not a breath, not a claim. The panther did not relax. Dawn marched higher. Birds, the bravest first, chirped once and froze, as if asking permission. Leaves rustled, the tiniest sigh of relief. When the sky shifted from night's grip to morning's reach, the shadows loosened. Even the clearing felt less like a wound and more like a scar. But scars remember. The panther stared into that spot of darkness until the first warm shaft of sunlight pierced between the trees. It cut the clearing in half, and the thing she hunted vanished with the night. Just gone. No sound of escape, no scent of retreat, no disruption. It had waited here, drawing fear tight around the forest like a net, and then dissolved with daylight, as though it had never existed. The panther breathed out at last, slow, controlled. The jungle's heartbeat returned. Frogs croaked. Leaves dripped with dew. Monkeys rustled sleepily in the canopy. Fireflies dared to flicker again from hidden crevices. Life, cautious but convinced, exhaled as one. The panther stepped into the sunlight, her coat igniting with a subtle golden sheen. Dawn warmed her spine, but not her instincts. She settled onto a sunlit rock, overlooking the clearing with a silent vow. If night brings silence again, she will be waiting. Because the jungle had chosen to stay awake until dawn,